Before the accident, life in our Columbus suburb ran like clockwork. Work, school, dinner on the porch, Saturdays at the Park of Roses, baseballs sailing into the neighbor's yard. Ordinary, steady, reliable. That was the rhythm of our family. After the accident, the silence changed. Not peaceful silence, but heavy, pressing. Laura moved slower, pulled the curtains shut in broad daylight, drifted off on the couch with a cold cup of tea still in her hands. I kept track of her medication schedule on the fridge, made sure the kids kept their voices down near the bedroom. Outwardly, the house still stood. Inside, something was bending. One day, she said she'd dropped her phone in the sink. When I held it in my hands, it was dry, intact, not a single trace of water. I offered her a replacement SIM card. She snatched the box quickly. I'll handle it. The bedroom door closed softly, but felt final. That night, I suggested a walk along the Olentangy Trail. She shook her head. Not today. My head hurts. We did not argue. We just did not connect. Conversations shrank to bills, appointments, who was picking up Jacob from practice. But I could hear the rhythm of her messages. Short vibrations, quick replies, long pauses. A pattern that did not belong to us. I was not about to start shouting matches or break down doors. In my line of work, logistics, everything runs on order, schedules, and documents. Home was no different. Facts first, then conclusions. I called Rachel, an attorney a co-worker had trusted during his own divorce. Her office downtown smelled of coffee and polish. Glass walls, calm voice. I told her everything. The accident, Laura's distance, the phone, the silence that filled our house. You want to keep the picture perfect? Rachel asked. But do you want the truth? I want to protect my kids, I said, and I would not lie to myself. She nodded, as if that was the only answer that made sense. She laid out a plan, medical tests, a child psychologist, a recorded conversation in her office if needed. No theatrics at home, no surveillance stunts. Procedure only. That evening, Laura sat on the floor, folding Jacob's old shirts. I told her about the psychologist. She looked up. You think we read that bad off? I think the kids need more than quick hallway conversations, I said. She said nothing, just bent her head back to the shirts. Later that night, I sat on the porch with cold coffee, watching the neighbor's dog bark into the dark. I knew we were stepping into another stage of our life. I did not know what I'd find ahead, but I knew one thing for sure. There was no going back. If the truth existed, I could bear it. If it did not, I'd bear that too. Because that's my code. Stay the course, even when the road ahead disappears into darkness. Saturday morning, I took the kids to the Park of Roses. Jacob chased ducks with a bag of bread in his hands. Emma laughed, trying to snatch pieces from him. To them, it was a normal day. To me, it felt like the pause before a storm. At the lab, a nurse in scrubs smiled as she drew my blood. Results in a few days, she said casually. I nodded like it was routine, but I knew those results could tear my life apart. Later, at Dr. Ellis's office, the walls were lined with shelves of little animal figurines. The kids relaxed right away, Jacob talking about baseball, Emma showing her drawing. When it was my turn, I kept it simple. Things at home are not right. I want them to have solid ground under their feet. Dr. Ellis studied me, then said, solid ground is not words. It's predictability. If you can give them that, they'll be fine. Her words hit home. Predictability, that was my language. It was what separated a man with a code from a man who collapsed under chaos. A few days later, I found Laura's old phone hidden in a box of winter clothes. Clean, dry, untouched. I handed it to the specialist Rachel had recommended. Legal methods only, she reminded me. I followed that to the letter. When I told Laura I'd done tests and taken DNA swabs from the kids, she did not yell. She did not argue. She just gripped her coffee mug until her knuckles turned white. You do not trust me anymore, she said. I trust facts, I answered. This is not an accusation. It's protection for their future. Evenings turned heavier. We sat at the table with the kids, talking about homework and practices, while Laura and I exchanged only short, cold sentences. The glass wall between us thickened by the day. Then a report came back from the phone specialist. I opened it in my car outside the clinic. On the screen, dating apps, brief messages, short arrangements, addresses of bars and motels. Not long confessions, not romance. Just empty transactions. I closed the laptop and looked into the rearview mirror. My face was calm, steady. No anger, only clarity. There were no gray areas anymore. Only facts. And soon, only decisions. I called Rachel. We meet at your office. Laura needs to be there. And make sure the recorder is on. That night, I told Laura, we need to talk. At Rachel's office. She was silent for a long time, searching for words that could still save her. Finally, she said, fine, if that's what you want. Later, I stood at the sink washing dishes, watching water slide off plates. Most stains come off if you scrub hard enough. But some never leave. And I knew in just a few days I'd be staring straight at one of them. Rachel's office was cool, the steady hum of the air conditioner filling the quiet. She placed a recorder on the table, pressed the button, and spoke into it like a pilot announcing coordinates. The date, the time, the participants. Laura sat across from me, shoulders hunched, fingers laced together as if holding herself still. I kept my palms flat on the table. Open hands kept me steady. Laura, Rachel began, her voice calm but firm, today is about facts. No drama. Just what happened, when and where. Laura's throat moved as she swallowed. For a moment, I thought she might refuse. But then she nodded, voice fragile. After Jacob was born, I could not feel normal again. At first it was just chats, then meetings. Not relationships, just distractions. I'd stop, then start again. I did not keep names. Sometimes I do not even remember who. Her words hung in the air, hollow shells. Dates and places filled them, as Rachel patiently asked follow-ups. A bar off the interstate, a motel with a buzzing neon sign, a parking lot behind a strip mall. Not stories, just coordinates of betrayal. Then my phone buzzed. Lab results. Rachel caught my eyes, nodded. Go ahead, she said. 2 lines of text. I read them once, then again. Say it aloud. Rachel prompted, for the record. Jacob is my son, I said. Emma is not. The words dropped like iron into the silence. No tremor in my voice, no outburst. Just the truth, heavy and final. Rachel leaned forward. Laura, do you know who Emma's biological father is? Laura's eyes closed. When she opened them again, she stared at the tabletop like it might swallow her. No, she whispered. It could have been one of several. I do not know. I really do not. I breathed in, slow and deep, like I used to when unloading trucks in the summer heat. Then I spoke. That's enough. The facts are on the record. We move forward. Rachel clicked the recorder off, laid out the papers with steady hands. Next steps, we file for divorce. We initiate proceedings to challenge paternity for Emma. Laura, you'll need to do your part. Gather dates, contacts, anything that could identify the biological father. Not for you. For Emma's medical and legal future. The children will need counseling. At home, you both establish strict boundaries. Separate lives under one roof until the court says otherwise. Laura's voice cracked. I'm sorry. Sorry is a feeling. I answered. What we need now are actions. She nodded, tears slipping but unchecked. When the meeting ended, I walked out into the sunlight. The city moved on, horns chatter, the smell of coffee drifting from a cafe down the block. No one knew that inside a glass office, a family had been split apart forever. Laura lingered by the curb, clutching her purse strap like it was the only thing holding her up. What are you going to do? She asked quietly. What I must, I said. Divorce. Protect the kids. Order in the house. No screaming. No theater. Just rules. Rachel stepped out, handed me a folder of documents. The paper was still warm from the printer. I signed where she pointed. It was not revenge. It was not victory. It was the first line of a new ledger. I looked up at the September sky. Plain blue, with a thin streak of cloud. Truth is heavy, but it does not break you if you have something to hold on to. My code held me steady. It always had. Back home, I packed a suitcase and moved my things into the guest room. Laura stood in the doorway, silent, watching. I did not look for her eyes. We were no longer husband and wife sharing a life. We were two adults under the same roof, tied only by our children. At dinner, Jacob talked about his baseball practice. Emma showed a drawing of a house with a crooked chimney. Laura and I exchanged only clipped words. Pass the salt. Clear the plates. The air between us was glass, transparent but impenetrable. Later, when the kids were asleep, I told her plainly, no closeness, no attempts to fix the past. We rehear together only until the divorce is finalized. After that, it has separate lives. She did not argue, just nodded, as if she'd expected it all along. The next day, I drove Jacob to practice, dropped Emma at her art class, and went straight to Rachel's office. We filed the divorce papers at the Franklin County Courthouse. Another packet challenged Emma's paternity. The clerk stamped the documents, each thud of the seal sounding like a door closing behind me. Cold, clear, final. That evening, Dr. Ellis met with us as a family. I told her the truth of my decision. I would not humiliate Laura. I will not allow myself to be humiliated either. I am divorcing her. The children will see a psychologist. And I'll make sure they know there's predictability in their lives, that no matter what, I am steady. Dr. Ellis nodded, noting it down. Laura shifted uncomfortably in her chair, then finally spoke. I'll try to figure out who Emma's father might be. I not promise, but I'll try. That is not a favor, I said. That's your responsibility. For her medical history. For her future. Silence filled the office. For the first time in weeks, I felt calm. Not because the pain was gone, but because the path was clear. That night, as I tucked Emma into bed, she looked up at me. Dad, are you still my dad? I knelt beside her, brushing her hair back from her face. Yes. I am the one who picks you up from school, comes to your shows, helps when you're re-scared. That does not change. Ever. She smiled faintly, then closed her eyes. I stayed by her side until her breathing slowed. Later, sitting on the porch with the city humming in the distance, I checked my phone. Notifications stacked up. Emails from Rachel, reminders about the kids' schedules, calls I still needed to return. All pieces of a new life falling into place. This was not rage. It was not vengeance. It was discipline. The decision had been made, and now all that was left was to walk it through, step by step. My code had carried me this far. It would carry me the rest of the way. The courtroom was ordinary, almost indifferent. Papers shuffled, the judge's voice steady and bored, clerks moving through files as if our lives were nothing more than another case number. For them, it was routine. For me, it was the closing of a Chapter 1D once thought would last forever. Rachel guided me through the questions. Yes. No. Simple answers, no speeches. The divorce was finalized in minutes. The second case, the challenge to Emma's paternity, was filed separately. That fight would take longer. But in that moment, the bond between Laura and me was officially severed. Outside, the city moved on, traffic buzzing, people with coffee cups hurrying to work. No one noticed that one man had just walked out of a courthouse, carrying only half of the life he brought in. Laura and I barely spoke after that. When we did, it was brief, businesslike. She passed me scraps of information she'd pieced together, dates, places, fragments that might point toward Emma's biological father. I thanked her, nothing more. Respect without affection, facts without emotion. I rented a small apartment in Clintonville. Plain, quiet, with a view of the parking lot and the constant hum of AC units outside the window. On the wall, I hung Emma's drawings and Jacob's baseball glove. The first night they stayed over, we ate pizza on the floor, laughing at a movie, fighting over the last slice with extra cheese. It was not the life I imagined, but it was real. One evening, Emma looked up at me and asked, Dad, why do you live here and not with Mom? I took a deep breath. Because sometimes adults make mistakes, but I am still your dad. That never changes. I'll always be here when you need me. She studied me for a moment, then nodded like she understood more than a child her age should. Later that night, I locked the door with both bolts and sat in the quiet. For the first time, the silence did not feel heavy. It felt clean, cold but honest. A starting point, not an ending. A cold point, a place where you set down your marker and begin again. This is my life now. Work, kids, discipline. No ilusiones. No pretending. My word means something, and my code guides me. And if anyone asks me what that means, what it means to live by code, I'll tell them this. Being a father is not about paperwork or promises whispered in the dark. It's about showing up every single day, no matter what. That is who I am. That is who I'll remain. And that is where today's story ends. Thank you for watching to the end. If you enjoyed it, do not forget to like and comment. We'd love to discuss this story with you. See you in the next video.